These three things are things that I have found work best for us for mulching. Number one is just mulch up leaves. We have a lot of trees on our property, so we get a lot of fallen leaves. I love to mulch them up and just use them in the garden. We still get random blades of grass come through, but you can see that the majority of this bed doesn't really have grass coming through. Every now and then we get some, like on the edges here, where this Bermuda grass especially likes to push its way up through the leaves. The leaves break down and turn into more dirt. So the next thing that I really like to mulch with, grass clippings. I know it sounds counterproductive, like you're putting grass in your garden bed, but even though we have mostly Bermuda grass here in our yard, we can mow and then I rake it up into big piles. Sometimes I let it dry, sometimes I put it on whenever it's wet and it just dries in place. Man, it forms a carpet, and for whatever reason, it works great to suppress weeds. That breaks down wonderfully, turns into more dirt. So a more recent discovery that I have been using for the last 3 years is pine needles. Man, that stuff does the best job of suppressing weeds and grass. We call it pine straw. Pine straw also, man, it really holds moisture. It allows for what little bit of rain we have to seep down through, and then it holds that moisture in the ground. And whenever I water, the water goes right through, and then it holds that moisture in. Don't forget to make sure you grab some pine cones for your rabbits. Man, they love to chew on these pine cones. These were mulched up high, like to this top row. And you can see that it's been a couple of years. Some pine needles left here, but the majority of them have broken down. And last fall, I piled mulched leaves up here too. And you can see that a lot of them are already broken down. We really pile pine straw mulch up really thick around like the base of the trees. And we'll do the same thing around the blackberries. The trees don't have a problem coming up through them. The berries don't have a problem. If you have plants that are very small, or you're still waiting on seeds to come up, you just kind of make a little nest around them. And after the plants get bigger, after your seeds come up, you can go ahead and mulch all the way up close to the bottom. I have read and seen people talk about that pine needles is a good way to add acidity to your soil. So I've seen them say that adding the pine needles around blueberries is good because blueberries really like acidic soil, but that you really shouldn't add the pine needles around other things, because then you're making your soil too acidic and stuff won't grow. That has not been our experience. I have had great experience with it, even with it breaking down. I don't know if that comes from more of the like using fresh pine needles that are green and haven't dried. We use dried pine needles. I don't know if it's from if you till the pine needles into your soil, which, I mean, tilling anything in that has to break down, if you till stuff into your soil, you're taking nitrogen away from your plants because it uses that nitrogen to break down the things that you've tilled in like that. So that has not been my experience, but I mention it because I'm sure someone will say so in the comments. And I'm sure that, I guess it has its basis somewhere, but that's not been my experience. My stuff grows fine. We've not had overly acidic soil. Like I said, we've been doing it for 3 years now, and we haven't seen any ill effects.